Hi gang, welcome back to the Unraised Latina Ever. Today's topic is going to be on a forum that I attended here in Pinellas County. It was all about the border and some of our issues that we're facing with the border. It was also done to be like an educational forum to kind of help us public people get up to speed on what's going on. We had 4 speakers. The first one was Sheriff Bob, and he's our local sheriff, and he basically said that our federal agencies and state agencies are kind of like different. I mean, the immigration policy is more under the federal jurisdiction, and so due to different communities having different rules and different feelings about the immigration issue, that they don't feel like they have to comply with the federal law. That's not to say everybody feels that way, but just certain maybe liberal areas feel that way. But anyway, he feels that with the Democrats in power, that nothing is going to change, nothing will get done, and it just will be a mucky little mess, which I think he's correct about. I'm very idealistic, and I'm hoping that things will change, but he is more of a realist. Okay, so I'm Pollyanna D over here going, maybe they'll change, and you got Bob going, oh hell no. But anyway, he was funny. The one thing he was talking about was the law, because that's what he does for a living. You know, he is the law, and he knows all about the law. And his way of saying law, where he lulls it out, is kind of like how George W. Bush says oil. You know, so it was pretty entertaining. The next guy was the Colonel. I can't even begin to pronounce his last name. I would butcher it. But to him, he was the guy that talked more about like how the national border security impacts us via the military and that kind of thing. And so he basically kind of like was giving us the nuts and bolts of stuff. So for example, he was comparing some of this to like it was not so sexy. Maybe it's a Latino thing or whatever, but like it's like, you know, but I'm thinking to myself like, you know, like terrorism isn't sexy. So like, what do you mean? Okay, so anyway, you know, but it made it like not boring, and like it made me not fall asleep, and he was a great guy because he made me laugh, and he did give some good information. Basically, he talked about the national level of open borders and how it impacts us, and it gives me to the next speaker. I'm going to do like the third speaker last, because I want to go into the person that Ms. Kelly who talked about counterterrorism, and this kind of parlays off of what the Colonel said. She was talking about, okay, so we put a Muslim ban on these Muslim countries, okay? So we have maybe college kids that want to come here on the DREAM Act. They're not allowed to come in because they can't get through the consulates, okay? Because they can only allow so many people through. Because of the Muslim ban, it bans everybody from these Muslim banned places. But at the same time, the real criminals can just kind of ride on over through Colombia in a caravan, you know, from Pakistan, ready to like do some real harm to this country. And maybe what she was saying is our counter and terrorism, they accidentally encounter some of these terrorists coming through the Mexican border. Now, nobody should accidentally encounter terrorists, okay? You either know who's coming through that Mexican border or you don't. So I think it's a real big problem because we haven't addressed it yet. We haven't talked about it yet. We really haven't talked about it since George Bush was president. And I think that since 9/11 happened, we got real comfortable, especially at 8 years of Obama, we got extremely comfortable. And we haven't really talked about the open borders or the Mexican border and the possibility of terrorism. And a lot of them are already here, but you know, some of them are still coming because they're already set up here. So we really need to address that southern border, because it's not just the Mexicans coming on over, it's just anybody who wants to come on over. And they know, and they've been coached on what to say. So we need to kind of get rid of that game. And with that said, the last person that we're going to talk about, she was really amazing. Her name was Anna Rodriguez, and she discussed human trafficking. One of the issues with human trafficking, and this is something that I didn't know, is that I thought pertain to like little kids and like sex slaving. That's just a small percentage of that. A lot of people on a global scale, human traffic people all over the country, even from the Philippines. Actually, a lot of the hair and nail places, you know, use Filipino workers, but also Walmart and places like the Hilton that we would least likely expect hire people on a global scale from different parts of the world. Okay, and they do this because they can exploit them, they can pay them less, and they can get away with it. So I think we need to start taxing these big corporations that abuse people. I think we need to make them pay their fair share. I think we need to make this stop, possibly a jail term for people that are habitual offenders. And we really need more than a $10,000 fine. I don't think that's strong enough. And Will, don't you dare yawn behind the camera, because you know what? You can't do that. I'm not boring. I know today I'm not my normal funny self. I'm just giving you the lecture. And I know it's kind of boring, but you know what? Nobody could be as boring as Will Harris when he goes into professor mode. It's like every college professor puts me to sleep. Like, he doesn't really put me to sleep if he's talking about something that I'm interested in. But if you get him to talk about finance or something like about something in the finance world or something that is really cerebral, I will go to sleep on you. I will. And that's boring. At least the immigration stuff is something that we can all benefit from, because you know what? There's some websites that they gave me at the end of this, and I don't see it on this list here, but let's see. You could probably, let me see. I don't see the websites. If I find them, I'll post them separately. I know I wrote it down somewhere, but there's websites on how you can get educated on the whole like border situation. Don't trust what the lamestream media is putting out, because a lot of the shit that they're putting out is just their own biased belief, and they're not going to tell you the truth, because that's just how they are. At the same time, Trump is disallowing everybody to come on through. And then he's thinking he's going to relocate them in Florida. I don't think so, Mr. Trump. You're not bringing them here. Hell no. You know, just leave them in frickin' Texas. Maybe then Texas would work a little bit harder on getting their fucking fence up. With that said, have a blessed day, and God bless. Bye.